Okay. Now today's topic, burn that belly fat. Okay. Now I chose this topic because a lot of people are very interested in belly fat. You know, the first thing they'll come and say, they'll tell me, give us something to get rid of this fat. They'll point out to that fat, or they'll come and ask for a special diet. Like what do you do for belly fat? Now one thing is, I of course explain to them that belly fat is your body fat. Some of us have a tendency of storing more fat in our bellies. Some people will say they'll store fat everywhere else, but in their bellies there'll be very little fat in their belly. Okay, they're very little belly fat. So one thing is genetics, of course, and another thing is also your lifestyle. Okay, so there is nothing special. It's about losing your body fat. So when you lose your body fat, then you get rid of that belly fat. Also, some people think there are special exercises. You see people like 100 crunches, 200 crunches, they'll do every day, they'll come and do in the gym just to get rid of that belly fat. Now what they're doing in that is they're not getting rid of their belly fat. It's not going to work, the crunches. They are, in fact, their back, okay, they're ruining their back. They'll end up with back pain or some back problems, lower back problems by doing that. So let's today analyze a little bit in a little more detail. Everybody knows diet is important. Okay, everybody knows exercising is important to get rid of belly fat. But there are lots of other things. And again, when it comes to diet, a little more, let's look at the little nitty-gritties also. Yeah. Okay, first of all, when we say belly fat, now you've got to know that there are two kinds of belly fat. One is subcutaneous fat, the other one is visceral fat. Now, so subcutaneous fat is that loose fat, okay, which you can pull and which you can pinch, and that is your subcutaneous fat. Visceral fat is the one which is a little deeper inside, okay, and it is more closer to the abdomen. It is in the inner lining of the abdomen. It is closer to your internal organs. Now this fat, your visceral fat, is the one that is going to cause problems, health problems. This is the fat that you have to be really careful of. But if nobody is worried about health problems, whether it's a 16-year-old or an 18-year-old or a 60-year-old person, they all want to get rid of belly fat because it looks bad. They can't wear tight clothes, they cannot wear a tight shirt, they cannot wear a tight kurta. So, or they feel it just kind of intrusive, it comes in the way, like, obviously when you have fat, you cannot bend down and wear shoes also, some people, it comes to that as well. So for everybody, it is more of cosmetic. No one says, I want to lose the fat, I don't want to get diabetes, or I don't want to get maybe thyroid or maybe fatty liver. No one is worried about the health aspects of the fat. It's exactly. A lot of them are not even aware. That's true. What you said is true. They're not aware. So it's more of like, I want to get rid of it because I want to wear good clothes. I want to look good. I want to look better. My clothes should look better. Okay. But today, so that's your subcutaneous fat, and your visceral fat is your ticket to bad health, to diseases, metabolic disorders. So one way of gauging, of course, when your abdomen is protruding, definitely that you have got belly fat. But the dangerous level is when you measure it, 40 inches for men and 35 inches for women. So when you measure your waist, okay, this is somewhere around your navel. When you measure it, if your measurement is 35 inches for women and for men, if it is 40 inches, then you're a little bit in that danger zone. If you're a little belly fat, okay. I mean, I'm not saying it's okay, but you could be heading, but this is like where you could be heading towards, of course. And after having said that, also a lot of people with a lot of belly fat and their triglycerides, their cholesterol, diabetes, nothing, they have no issues at all. But that doesn't mean they're safe till now. They could be heading towards it, okay?
So it should be for men less than 40 inches better.
Yeah.
Minimum 40.
Yeah. Now the dangers of belly fat. Now, first of all, belly fat releases certain hormones. Okay. Now one of them is your stress hormones. It also releases inflammatory substances. Now inflammation is something that you should probably you're aware of, or you should be aware of. Now that is the one, when there's inflammation in your body, one thing is your body fat increases. It prevents your body fat from burning. Also it can give rise to cancers, okay, different inflammation in the body. Now also it affects, now I told you this, now we're talking about all this is visceral fat, the fat which is deeper down, not the subcutaneous fat. Like when you do a liposuction, when you get a liposuction done, you're extracting that subcutaneous fat. So it's a cosmetic surgery. Yeah. So affects the working because the abdominal fat is closer to all your internal organs, you know, your liver, your pancreas. So somewhere it's going to affect the working of these organs. It's going to affect the working and the functioning. So because of this, you have more prone to diabetes, heart disorders. Like they say, you know, the belly fat, it's an indicator of your heart health. All right, and leads to poor sleep also. Now this is poor sleep because obviously your lungs, there's compression, so you cannot breathe properly. Even when you're sleeping, you know, sleep apnea, people have that disturbed breathing, they snore. Okay, so this, your belly fat causes all the metabolic disorders. Now simple rules. Now she's giving you a lot of rules, okay, what you should follow to prevent belly fat. Let's go through this. No junk food, low GI carbs, okay, no junk food, everybody agrees and we all know that, but we still eat that, okay, because it's nice, it feels good, all right. Sorry?
It's raining also.
It's raining also, yeah, the weather is also such, no? Yeah. Now low GI carbs. Now low GI carbs, does anyone know what is GI? Glycemic index. No, low GI carbs is, you know, you have high GI carbs, you have low GI carbs. Now high GI carbs are the one like maida, anything that's refined, which releases sugars very fast. So they have a higher glycemic index. So that is the one which a person with diabetes has to avoid. Person who wants to obviously lose weight has to avoid, because too much of carbs released, too much of sugars released, there will be storage, fat storage. It leads to fat storage because your body cannot handle too much at one time, no? So you have to have the lower GI carbs like whole grains, which releases sugar very slowly. Alright, then be natural.
Rice comes in the low GI.
Rice again depends. If it's the whole fiber, the fiber rice, then that will be low GI. Okay, but again, see, rice, and there's not much difference. But see, the fact is, if you're eating white rice, you end up eating a lot more. You know, whereas if you're eating brown rice, the one with the fiber, you cannot eat more. So automatically, it is controlled, the quantity. Then be natural. Natural, obviously she means that don't eat processed foods. Eat food as natural as possible. Like, you know, we're talking about whole grains. You talk about maida, it's refined, processed, it's stripped of all the fibers, okay? Yeah, vegetables. No snacks. Now, no snacks, I wouldn't say no snacks, no unhealthy snacks. You cannot eat healthy snacks, of course you can eat. Then less alcohol, of course we all know that. Then early nights. Is it important? Yes. Having early nights? Very good. It is important. Yeah, your sleep is also very important when you're talking about belly fat, weight loss. Then we'll discuss that in a little more detail. Then exercise often. Of course, we all know that. But how many of us do that? None. My God. That's my favorite topic.
Exercise, if you do only walking is okay.
If you do only walking, see, someone who doesn't do anything, if he says, I'm going to walk.
3 items.
Oh, very good. What three?
One is bending, because for a belly.
Okay. See, bending for the belly. Okay.
Belly.
Second
is breathing. Short
okay.
Breathing, then stir comes.
Okay.
Then it will not.
Okay, she does deep breathing.
Then, especially for the stomach.
Okay.
Is there on the knee. Like
okay.
That.
Okay, and what is the third? Those are your 3 exercises.
The 3 plus 2 more I am doing, that is for general.
Okay, very good. It's important to exercise. Huh? So whatever you're doing, see, even if a person says I'm walking, good enough. You have to obviously keep improving and getting better, but if someone does nothing and someone says I'm walking, then obviously that person is much better. And walking is not a bad exercise, except that, you know, if you're just walking, you may reach a point where you will develop pain in the knee, you know, pain in your joints, because you're not strengthening your joints, okay? You're only kind of, there's only wear and tear happening. But of course, it's a good exercise.
But there's a difference between walking and brisk walking. Brisk walking is
Really,
Of course, we're coming to that. We're coming to that. Now we're just like kind of grazing the surface types. And exercise often reduce stress. Stress and fat related? Are they related? Yes, it is related. Build muscles. Now, when I say muscles, women get scared. You know, the minute I say muscles, they're like, "Oh my God, I don't want to look muscular." You will never look muscular. You don't have the hormones. No, it can be anywhere. Muscles is all over the body. Basically, when you have more muscles, your metabolism is higher. So when your metabolism is higher, you're burning fat. So even if you're just sitting and lazing around, you're burning fat with a high metabolism. Okay, so build muscles. Like when women are scared of building muscles, so they go to the gym and they'll only do cardio. They'll only go on the treadmill, they only go on the cycle, elliptical, whatever. Of course, now it's much better, but you'll always see in the gym, the ratio of men to women, you could say probably 2:10. It's always lesser because women like to only do cardio. So building muscles is another way of burning fat because your metabolism is higher. So when your metabolism is higher, you're burning fat. Then get fitter. Of course, that's related to exercise because if you're fitter, your burning fat capacity, your fat burning capacity is better. And have a plan. Everything has to be planned. You have to have a strategy. Someone wants to lose weight and just says, okay, I'll exercise when I need, when I feel like. I'll kind of eat healthy when I feel like. I'll eat whatever is available. So that doesn't work. You need to have a plan and start now. Not tomorrow, now. Not now, after my class. Not today, now. Okay, now I've broken up, she's said everything very, like mixed up. Now I've broken it up into diet, exercise and hormonal balance. Now all three are very important. Now the first two everybody is aware of. The third one, some people are kind of aware of, some don't associate hormones and weight, okay? But there's a connection. Even your diet and exercise are connected to hormones, okay? There's a connection between that. Now let's talk about diet. The first thing, this is a very common saying, abs are made in the kitchen. That means it's what you eat rather than going and working out in the gym. So 80% always is your diet. It's like the rest is your exercise and sleep, and of course those are very important. 80% is the diet. You eat wrong and then you go and work it off. Of course, if you're a teenager, if you're younger, of course you can get away with it. But as you grow older, yeah, those days are gone. As you grow older, you cannot get away with eating. Of course, there are some, probably 1% lucky. No, there is that 1% you see who are eating and then they just have such a slim waistline and they probably don't even exercise, They just eat everything. But again, they probably eat in moderation, they're not eating, overeating or something, but they have no concept of diet, they're eating fried things and that's part of their daily routine, their eating habit. Abs means the stomach, yeah. Now this actually is for people like who want to build a six-pack. So they will probably just go and do crunches once a week. But the rest of the time they're very particular about their diet. And of course when you are also weight training, there is some, there is something called as core strengthening that's happening, which is also very important. I had done that in my previous talk. We've spoken about core strength. Yeah. Okay, now eating. For a lot of us, eating is everything. It's associated with emotions, moods, of course hunger. But what you have to remember when you're talking about what's happening inside your body, eating is a hormonal event. That means what you eat decides what hormones are released. Okay. Now when we are talking about with every bite you control the hormones that burn fat and that store fat. Now we're talking about two important hormones. One is insulin, the other one is glucagon. Now insulin is a hormone that stores fat, it loves to store fat, and glucagon is the hormone, this is aptly, I've picked it up from somewhere, this is not my way of saying it, but it's the magic bullet for burning fat. Now I'll tell you what. Now insulin, like I said, whenever there is, when you're eating too much of carbs, especially when you're eating refined carbs like maida, Okay, that's the first thing that always comes, because most of the junk food is maida only. Whether you talk about pizzas, burgers, everything is maida. So when you're eating that, there is a lot of insulin that is released, and insulin will take the glucose into your cells. Some of it will be used. The excess glucose that is there, see, whenever you're eating carbs, it's stored as fat. So insulin likes to keep storing fat. So you have to make sure that your insulin level is never high. Okay, so for that you got to eat whole grains, low GI carbs, like I said, not your refined food. Even rava, for instance, a lot of people feel rava is very healthy, so they eat upma for breakfast. It's not, it's not unhealthy, but it is definitely a low GI carb. A high GI carb, sorry. Now glucagon. It is refined. And some people even argue with me that rava is made from wheat.
Yeah.
So why is it unhealthy? But rava is made from wheat. It's the innermost part of wheat. No, where is the fiber and the husk? Everything is gone.
Rava is available with the
No, that is not
Brown
rava.
rice is the best.
No, the brown rice is the best. No, I'm talking about rice. You get wheat. You get that broken wheat.
Yeah.
That lapsi, what is called.
Lapsi.
That is healthy, definitely, because it's just the wheat.
Can we make rava from that broken wheat?
Rava, as in you'll have to make it fine, no? But again,
Fine.
yeah, no, but again, the finer it is, again the GI increases, huh?
Same thing with the poor also.
It's rice, yeah. So brown, of course, that's because it's got the fiber, no? Fiber is intact. Yeah. Now, glucagon is a magic bullet for burning fat. So that means when glucagon is there, it will break whatever fat is there, it will try and use that fat to release energy. Instead of using glucose, it encourages the utilization of your stored fats for energy.
How is it sourced?
How is it sourced? Exactly. Like I said, it's the food that you eat. Now a lot of people, most Indians, especially if they're vegetarians, it's even more. Their food is chapati and sabzi, roti sabzi. If it's vegetarian, then it's usually roti sabzi. Some may add curd, but proteins is lacking in our diet. Okay. Now when you eat carbs, you are always encouraging the release of insulin. When you're eating glucagon, when you're eating proteins, you are encouraging the release of glucagon. So that is one way in which you have to, so your meal has to be balanced. It cannot be only carbs. You've got to include enough proteins in your diet. Proteins can be, of course, in any form, could non-vegetarian or vegetarian. It's a hormone. No, it's a hormone.
So for vegetarian who is typically eating dal, your sabji roti with maybe curd.
Curd is there,
Where
no?
does he get his glucagon? There's no glucagon in there.
It's secreted in your body. You're not eating it, no? It's being produced in your body. Depending on what food you're eating, it's getting released, no?
So when he's eating this chapati sabji,
So more of insulin, no?
yeah.
So the tendency of fat storage is much more, no? When you're eating carbs, yeah. So that is the reason why you.
Come from your roti and sabji food. Typically that's
Not
what
much,
you
no, not
So
much.
what would you have to eat to release
Some
this?
proteins, I said.
Okay.
Could be chicken if you're a non-veg, or fish, or any protein, any good protein. So basically what I'm saying is your meal has to be balanced. It cannot be just roti sabzi, because then you're just having carbs. And see, when you're eating only roti sabzi, again what happens, do you feel full? I've seen a lot of people who are vegetarians and who eat just roti sabzi. There's no salad also, so at least salad gives you a little fullness. They're just eating that. After 2 hours, they're hungry, exactly. So when they're hungry, then there's a lot of this binging, they look for snacks.
It's a craving.
It's a craving, we're coming to that, very good. It's a craving. Now why that craving happens is, we will see that, it's because there is proteins that is lacking in the diet. See, when proteins is there, it gives a fullness to your meal, there's satiety. And it's not just because protein is heavy to digest or it's tougher or anything like that, because there's a certain hormone or a chemical that is released when when you're eating carbs, there is a neuropeptide. It's a chemical, you don't have to remember the name, but I'm just trying to find a connection. So when that is released, it causes that cravings. Okay, when protein is there in the diet, it suppresses this particular hormone, this particular chemical. So that is why the cravings are not there. So it's like I know a lot of Gujaratis who tell me that they eat very healthy. Yeah, the food say that we make it in such little oil. Even I'm amazed, you know. But actually, it's true. Their food is very tasty. They don't make it very oily. Even the fulkas and all that, they hardly use ghee and all that. The people are particular. But where do they go wrong? Because then they're snacking. You know, their morning snack, their breakfast, and their evening at 5, 6 o'clock, they're snacking. There they eat fried stuff. Okay. So.
Which food contains protein?
Proteins is animal proteins you have like meat and fish and eggs. Vegetarians would eat dairy products. The good proteins. There is soya. So those are the the sprouts of course is decent. Pulses also contain protein, but they also have carbs. They are not pure proteins. We are talking about pure proteins here. Yeah?
It's better to take a curry one rather than fried.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so carbohydrates, a high carb meal causes an insulin spike. Like I said, insulin spike, so there's tendency of fat storage is higher, and this forces the body to burn glucose, not your stored fat as energy. Then protein, the best long term strategy to reduce belly fat. So please include proteins in your meals, okay? And amount of protein, it's inversely related to your abdominal fat. So higher the protein in your diet, lesser abdominal fat. Okay, and this has worked. I've seen this, people changing their diet and the change happening. The equation is true, and it, like I said, it gives you satiety because of this neuropeptide Y. It suppresses what carbohydrates, when you're eating carbs, this particular chemical is released, which causes those cravings. So this kind of suppresses that. And another thing is, with protein you increase your muscle mass. So muscle mass is increased, your metabolism increases. So metabolism increases, then what happens? Your fat burning is better, and it stimulates release of glucagon. So that means every time you're taking a bite of your food, you're releasing insulin and glucagon. So if you're eating only carbs, all the time you're releasing just insulin. Okay, and
That means a vegetarian only dairy product like milk, curd, nothing else.
Nothing else really. We're talking about pure proteins. There is, see, there are some grains which are which have a good protein content. Like, I don't know if you know of buckwheat. Yeah, buckwheat. That is also decent. Rajgira, you know, amaranth. Yeah, that people usually have during their fast. And now I think everybody is kind of suddenly becoming aware of this quinoa. 4-5 years back when it had hit the market, it's something which of course is not made in India, it's not local, but it comes like it's packaged and you get it in a lot of stores nowadays. That has also got a good protein. That's a you know, you can eat it like it's a grain. You eat it like a grain. So that also has a good protein content.
So no protein in
vegetarians. Fruit, see, even your chapatis and all have, it's not that, but little. We're talking about pure proteins now, okay? Yeah, now fats. Now when we talk about fats, we come trans fat, I'll come to a little later. Now saturated fats. Now it is the form in which your body stores fat. So it's very easy for the fat to get stored. You know, it's like already in a ready-made storage form. So you eat a lot of saturated fats, it's easy for the body to store it. Doesn't have to convert it, nothing. At least, you know, when you're eating carbs, there's some conversion happening. But in this, it is in the storage form directly. Now trans fat, how many of you are aware of trans fat?
Ghee and butter.
Yeah, ghee, butter, cheese, everything has saturated fat. Now what is trans fat?
Like margarine.
Margarine, no. See, trans fat is something like margarine, like she said, you know, you have those oils which are solidified, oil which is, it's solidified oil at room temperature. So it is solidified and it is man-made. See, saturated fat is present naturally. So between trans fat and saturated fat, of course, both are going to make you gain fat. Of course, your fat percentage will go up, but saturated fats is comparatively healthier. Trans fats is something which, anything that is man-made is unhealthy. You know, anything refined, anything processed, trans fat, like this is not original, it's not found in nature.
Bakery items is a lot.
All the bakery items, all your KFC, your McDonald's, all these fast food places, all your Lays that you get, they all use trans fat because first of all it is, you know, the flavor, it enhances the flavor, the look, more important, the shelf life has increased. So the food manufacturers are interested in that, increasing the shelf life.
Crispy taste because of the
Yes,
trans-
exactly. Because of that, it's very crisp also. So all your bakery products and also even pastries and everything, they use margarine, everything. That's why there are some people who only make all these things at home because they know what is going into it. Okay, so the trans fat, most of the food industry, you will have trans fat, a lot of it you will have. So you have to learn to read food labels. If it's like maybe a small percentage, it's fine. But if it's like, but if you talk about burgers and your McDonald's and KFCs, they're all trans fat. So you have to know that you're eating trans fat.
Even
Yeah.
the deep fried potato or samosa also come trans fat.
It depends on what is the cooking medium. See, if when we make at home, we definitely don't use trans fat. We use normal cooking oil, no, the regular oil.
That is okay. Home.
That is okay. Like I said, it is saturated fat, but trans fat is something which is in a solidified form, and then when you heat it, it again becomes liquid, and that is used to fry. So that gives you a crisper product. Plus the shelf life is increased. Like Lay's and all that, I mean, all these packeted stuff that you get, packaged food, so they all use trans fat. And both of them lead to obesity, and this also leads to insulin resistance, the trans fat. Now what is insulin resistance? Anyone has a clue what is insulin resistance?
When the cells don't absorb insulin.
Yeah, that means your body has become resistant to insulin, so it keeps producing more and more insulin. So such a person always will gain weight because insulin has that.
Insulin should enter. It's roaming in the blood. instead
Yeah,
of entering the
yeah,
blood.
it cannot enter the cells because your cells now cannot, it's reached a point, it's thanks to your trans fat and all your processed and junk food, it's reached a point where it cannot take in insulin. So the insulin is just circulating in the blood. So because it's not taking in the insulin, there is more and more insulin produced. So the high insulin content in your blood is going to lead to fat storage, and in some cases it leads to diabetes. But of course this condition can be reversed if you change your diet, if you go through an entire cleanup process, you change, you exercise. So insulin resistance is not something that is there for life, you can reverse it. Yeah. Now belly fat gain. Now what are the things that make you gain belly fat? High sugar foods and drinks, which is pretty obvious because insulin spike. Anything with high sugar, insulin spike, and fat storage. Fruit juices. A lot of people are not aware of this. When you tell them, they say, no, but I'm having natural fruit juice, They think I'm talking about those packaged ones. Even the natural, because what is happening is when your fruit juice, your fiber is gone. So it's just the sugar in the fruit. And fruit sugar is ultimately sugar, though it will not harm your body, but when it comes to gaining fat, it definitely will. Fruits eaten in excess. This is again something which people cannot accept, but fruits are natural. Agreed, they are natural, so it's not going to do anything to you, but it will spike up your insulin. Now when I say fruits eaten in excess, suppose someone is fasting and has a bowl of fruits for lunch, that is okay, that is not so bad. I'm talking about, people eat probably breakfast at 8 o'clock, then the 11 o'clock fruit time is a big bowl of fruits, Now that is where they go wrong, or they eat a big bowl of fruits probably after dinner. So that is where that fruit sugar will also affect, and especially excess of this fruit sugar definitely increases belly fat. This is an experiment I have tried out on someone.
So
Yeah.
food should be little,
Moderation, of course, and again when you eat
Better
fruit.
before meal.
Exactly,
Half an hour before meal.
exactly. It's also, see, yeah, good you brought up this point. There is a nutritionist, a very popular nutritionist, a very well-known nutritionist who goes around saying that you can eat everything, you
No,
can
yeah,
eat
I know
rice.
that from Divakar or something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
She's absolutely nonsense.
Yeah, so she says you can eat rice, you can eat ghee, you can eat everything. Of course, people come and tell me, but like she says that you can eat everything. So of course I say you can eat everything. Food is not poison. Rice is also not poison, but you have to know how much to eat. Even if you're eating rice, okay, someone loves rice and cannot do without rice. Okay, fine, you eat, but then you have to see how much you're eating, when you are eating it. Plus, you have to see what is your fitness goal. Someone says, I want like a washboard, I want washboard abs, and says, I want to eat a lot of rice, that may not work, na? So you have to see what is your fitness goal. If there are some people who just want to reasonably fit. They want that like washboard abs, or they don't want that. They just want to be fit. They don't mind a little fat here and there. So okay, so you have to know what your fitness goal is. So one thing you have to remember is no food is poison. What is poisonous, like I told you, is all your man-made, all the refined foods, your trans fat. Another one we'll come to is the high fructose corn syrup. Okay, now this high fructose corn syrup is used in, again, a lot of, like you buy pancake syrup, you'll see high fructose corn syrup. It's very cheap. It's made from corn, from sweet corn. It is very cheap, easy to make. Plus it is, it's sweet, again increases the shelf life. The main thing is it's cheap. See, the food industry wants to make money. It's not bothered about your health. So it is going to use stuff which works for them, not for your health. So, talking about rice and stuff like that, you can eat in moderation, and you have to know what your fitness goal is. Salt. Another thing, you need a little bit of salt, of course, in your diet. You have to maintain that balance of sodium and potassium, but in excess, of course, it causes water retention. Someone who eats a lot of salt will always have this thing of bloating, especially if that person doesn't drink enough water, because at least when you're drinking water, it's kind of washed out, So it will cause swelling, puffiness. These people also always have like a bloated body. The body is a little bloated. Stomach bloating definitely will be there. So you also have to see the amount of salt that you're eating. Food sensitivity. Okay. Now some people probably are allergic to certain foods. So again, see, everything starts with your stomach and intestines. If your stomach and intestines are working well, everything is working well. Something goes wrong, it always somewhere it comes down to the stomach and intestine. There's some problem there. Okay, so your food sensitivity, it will cause fluid retention, water retention. So again, there's swelling, there's bloating. It lowers your thyroid function. Thyroid is the one that increases your metabolism, keeps your metabolism going. Balanced. So, and of course it affects metabolism, so there will be weight gain. Now eat real food. Like I told you already, the human body cannot handle.
Certain people are gaining weight.
Gaining, that is hypothyroid. Thin, yeah. That is hypo and hyper. Yeah. So everything that is processed, like your white sugar, your white flour, processed refined foods. Yeah. Now this high fructose corn syrup, man-made sweetener, cheaper and sweeter than sugar. Now it's fructose. Now one thing you have to remember is glucose is what your body uses for energy. Fructose it cannot use. So it's stored in your liver, or it is stored as fat. Okay, so that's converted to fat. So your high fructose corn syrup, the fructose in it is going to be stored as fat. So you have to be careful of this. Please read food labels. I know food labels are very confusing to read. More than informative, I think it's trying to confuse the people, so that people just end up buying what they want to. They don't really. Very small fine print, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, and this, it shuts off the body's natural appetite mechanism, as in you don't, we'll come to another hormone. It's the other two hormones, leptin and ghrelin. So it affects the working of leptin. Leptin is, what kind of gives you satiety. It tells you, okay, you're full, now stop eating. So it affects the working of that hormone. So your appetite, it's like a switch on off. There's leptin, which tells you you're satisfied. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone, which tells you you're hungry. So it affects the working of these two. So the bottom line is, stay away from all this high fructose products. Even soft drinks have a lot of it. Trans fat. Okay, we've just discussed that, used to enhance flavor, texture, shelf life of processed food, and it's there in all the baked goods, your snacks, your fried snacks, your fast food, your junk food, even these non-dairy creamers you get, when you're flying, or some people, it's okay when you're using it once in a while, it's okay, but there are some people who use it every day in their coffee. So that I know of one person who's been using it for 30 years, and he's still not ready to, when I pointed it out, when I was going through his diet, I took a diet recall, and this is one of the things, because his food was very normal, what he was eating. this thing was there, and of course his occasional alcohol and stuff like that, but this was there, this has been there in his diet, and it's not just once he has his coffee, he has this at least twice or thrice a day. So definitely that has been contributing to his not just weight, he also is diabetic. Okay, processed food, now we've know it's got a lot of refined foods, it's got a lot of refined substances, high in sugar, high in salt. And why do we like it? Because it makes us feel good. It's that feel good factor. Okay, because feel good factor, we want to eat it more and more, and that will lead to all this high in trans fat, high fructose corn syrup causes food cravings, addiction. Okay, now how many of us think water is important for our maintaining our weight? There are some people who say that. One thing is people say, yeah, I don't drink enough water. They may exercise, they may not exercise, they may eat on time, but water is something that a lot of people don't give importance to. It's a very important part of your diet. In fact, it's one of the nutrients. You can count it as, when you say fats and carbohydrates and proteins, water is one of the nutrients. Okay. Now water, imagine, like, you know, if you're not drinking enough water, some people could be constipated. That again adds to your body weight, no?
Even you get kidney stone if you don't.
Yeah. No, here we're talking about the weight aspect, you know. Also, because if you're not drinking enough water, like I told you, if there is not enough water in your body tries to hold on to whatever water is there. So again, there is bloating. So there is water retention, so which will cause bloating. So for that, you've got to add more water to your diet. You have to drink more water, and of course, it slows down metabolism. So there is no weight loss happening. Okay, your weight could be stuck, it could be, and then you may realize that it's just the water that was missing in your diet. Okay, now this is a very interesting thing I came across. I was just reading something online and I came across a tomato diet. Now what is a tomato diet? It is like you eat tomatoes at night. You eat as much as you want. You can eat like raw tomatoes, you can eat, you can have tomato juice, or you can have tomato soup, but tomato in different forms.
Now it's 80 rupees a kilo.
80 rupees a kilo. I guess it's because someone's discovered this. Someone's discovered this diet. Okay. Okay, now the red color in tomatoes is because of this pigment called lycopene. Okay, now this lycopene has some hidden qualities which even I was new to. It promotes the creation of melanin. Melanin again is an antioxidant. Now this melanin, it inhibits the inflammatory effects of fat. Inflammatory effects of fat, as in, you know, fat, like I said, it gives out certain hormones or certain chemicals which will cause inflammation in your body. So that could, like I said, lead to cancer, or it could lead to more weight gain, storage of more fat, or fat being, it prevents fat from being burnt for energy. Okay, then it encourages secretion of growth hormones in the body. Now there is something called as the human growth hormone. Now one, it is secreted naturally in the body. Two, there are people who take it like how they take supplements and all that, they inject it, the human growth hormone. Now those are people who want that great physique and who want to build muscles and all that, you know, the second part I am talking about. And of course a very expensive supplement to have. Anyway, we are not talking about that aspect, we are talking about this aspect which is produced naturally. It's when you are sleeping, you have this growth hormone released. Now that of course helps you in growth and your repairing of your muscles and everything. Plus it helps in muscle growth and fat breakdown. So now this tomatoes encourages the secretion of the growth hormones. So that is the reason now when you are sleeping, so that's the reason this tomato diet works best in the night. So you've got to take.
You eat tomato only in the night.
Only in the night.
How
No, you can eat it during the day, but for other.
Yeah, if you are looking at weight reduction.
Yeah.
How much quantity one should eat?
As much as you can eat, no?
Very low in calories.
It's low in calories, yeah.
I have heard in tomato there is some yellow color thing.
The seed,
Which is causing
kidney stones. That is a seed itself, but that again is in people who are susceptible to kidney stones. Also people who do not drink enough water also, no?
I consume a lot of tomatoes.
Yeah.
This tomato, only tomato, not vegetables, chapati.
No, this is, these are properties only of tomatoes. And there's another substance, 13-OXO-ODA, which helps to fight off obesity. So this is all in tomatoes. Okay, so try it. You have nothing, you won't lose anything.
I have a lot of tomatoes.
Because
The other day I bought 3
practically-
kilos of tomatoes and it was all gone in one day.
Those who are eating tomatoes regularly, they are prone to so many cases are there.
Yeah,
Kidney
I know
stones
what
are
she's
there.
saying. Yeah, there is a.
There is.
But maybe for people
Who are susceptible to
Yeah.
kidney stones, yes, yes. So you can take out the seeds, no? You can take out the seeds. That is in the center. You can scoop out that if.
Too
you-
much tomato can kill you.
Yeah.
Potassium lecture is
Okay, then we come to alcohol. Of course, we all know suppresses fat burning. It's got too much sugar. It releases sugar instantly, and of course, the calories from empty calories or the like 0 calories, whatever, empty calories. So that is stored as fat. So alcohol is also another thing to be away from if you are looking at reducing belly fat. Okay, then gut bacteria. Now, you know, we're all aware of bacteria which is there in your intestine. Okay, they are the good bacteria, they are the bad bacteria. Now, obviously, you have prebiotics and you have probiotics. You've heard of people say have curds, have banana, because it encourages the growth of the good bacteria. Or it like something like banana, it induces the growth of good bacteria. So they are like food for good bacteria. Okay, now the good bacteria, you know, if you have good bacteria more than the bad bacteria, then things are fine, of course, and if the bad bacteria exceeds, then it leads to some problems. One of the thing is it releases toxins, which again is another cause of belly fat gain, and some types of bacteria are said to be you know, involved with, you know, it absorbs less calories from your food. Okay, so you have to always encourage the growth of good bacteria. Toxins. Alright, now toxins, they settle in your fat, they have an affinity for fat. So if your toxins increase, then your body is going to accommodate it by increasing your fat. Okay, so that means it prevents fat loss. So you have to, now how do you get toxins? It could be from the food you eat, it could be from the, you will get toxins all around, na? So many like pesticides, yeah, or even from the food that we eat, like I said, even the bacteria, and they interfere with our metabolism. Now hormonal control, it will leave another 10-15 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now the hormonal control, it's stress, sleep, and for women, of course, menopause. Now stress, like I said, because of stress, there are hormones released. Now the main stress hormone, the cortisol, okay, which is connected to your body fat. The more higher the level of stress, the higher the level of cortisol, and what will happen is it will make you kind of just give you cravings. You will eat whatever comes your way, also for the feel good factor. Yeah, plus the cortisol has a tendency of storing fat in the belly. Yeah, and then sleep. Now sleep, like I told you one thing, when you don't get enough sleep, good quality sleep, or enough probably very short sleep, or not good enough sleep, quality sleep, you'll always wake up feeling irritable. Alright, you feel irritable, and also because of that irritability, you may end up not eating right, not following, probably not wanting to exercise. So all this also reflects on your fat percentage. And in case of women, menopause, of course, because estrogen levels are falling, because of that the woman now has a tendency of storing more fat around in the abdominal area.
Muscle buildup is also decreasing.
Yes, but again, see, a lot of people, I have dealt with people who've had this problem and they've said that they cannot lose, but when they go on a proper diet and when they exercise, it is possible for them to lose. Of course, they may not lose it all, but then you can keep the fat in control. The belly fat can be kept in control. Okay, stress, it affects your appetite, food cravings, excess cortisol. It has the property of storing more fat in your abdominal area, and it also prevents fat breakdown. Okay, sleep sleep helps you eat less. Short, poor quality sleep leads to belly fat. And like I told you, this ghrelin and leptin, it maintains a balance. That means when you're hungry, there are two hormones released in your body. Okay, so that's the hunger hormone ghrelin, which makes you eat, and leptin is the satiety hormone, which tells you, okay, now you're full, stop eating. So this balance is upset, and so what will happen is a person will lose control again on his eating. He may crave, or he may eat much more than what he requires.
6-7 hours, okay.
You see, between 6 hours to 8 hours, it depends on each body type. Some people need 6 hours, some people need their full 8 hours. Some people sleep for 6 hours maybe, and then 1 hour they catch up maybe in the afternoon. So it depends. But on an average, between 6 to 8 hours is what is recommended. Of course, there are some people who sleep for 5 hours and function.
Deep meditation, they sleep very little.
Yeah. Okay, now genetics. Like I told you, your genes of course ultimately control where your fat is stored. Okay, so if you are, if your genes are saying that fat is going to be stored in your belly, then you cannot do much about it. But of course, with exercise, you can control it. And also, if you know your sleep is not proper, even though you may do whatever, but if your sleep is not proper, then your genes which are storing fat, you are kind of, instead of suppressing them, you are encouraging them to store fat in your abdominal area. Okay, so if your sleep is good, then those genes which are going to store fat in your abdominal area are kind of suppressed. So with lack of sleep, you are again doing the opposite.
Those who have got a gas problem.
Yeah, that is again going to cause, yeah. So again, it's your digestive system. So toxins. So if there is anything releasing gas, or if there's water that is being, fluid retention. So all that will cause bloating.
That and the gas.
So that is food sensitivity. That is food sensitive.
Both correlated.
No. Gas is not correlated. Only thing is it gives you a bloated look.
Bloated.
Yeah, so that is food sensitivity. Certain foods may not agree with you, so that is when it may release gas, cause acidity. Yeah.
So that you have to control.
That you have to control. Now, important, very important, you have to track your food. You have to keep track of what you are eating. A lot of times people are not aware of what they are eating, They feel they are eating healthy. They are looking at their meals, but what they are eating in between, they are not aware of that. So if you maintain a diary, those who are strictly looking at strict weight loss, if you maintain a diary, you know what you are eating, you know what is causing you to eat more, is your trigger foods, what you are eating, without being aware of, or when you are stressed, you are eating something. So all of us go through stress,
Emotional eating.
Yeah, emotional eating. And like I said, going on eating, yeah, there are some people who are going on eating, and then I know of people, who eat very little, maybe just one chapati, they'll have one small chapati for lunch, breakfast also very light, dinner also they hardly eat anything. Then I really wonder how they survive, and they're quite, like overweight and all that. And then you ask them, you probe, and then you realize that they're eating so much in between. They're just picking up stuff and eating, whatever's there in the kitchen, whatever, especially during from the fridge, they're just opening and eating. So if you maintain a diary and actually write out what you're eating, you'll know where you're going wrong and why you are overweight despite eating such small meals. And read food labels. Yeah, that is another way of keeping track. Now some magical ingredients. Okay, now cinnamon. It stabilizes your blood sugar, so it prevents fat storage. Yeah, but then see, when you're using cinnamon, you have to be a little careful, because there are people who have used cinnamon and they feel that it creates a lot of heat in the body. Cinnamon is very heaty. They feel that something is just burning within them. They feel that, and they're very uncomfortable.
Cinnamon with the honey.
With honey, yeah, but then it can cause a little strong reactions in people. Some people are very uncomfortable using it. So you have to see, some people break out into pimples, acne. So you have to see if it suits you. Then omega-3 rich foods. What are omega-3 rich foods? Where is omega-3 present? Which foods? You have it in walnut, fish, yeah, it's there in fish like mackerel. Then what else has flax? Yeah, it's there in fish. And then flax seeds, walnuts, they all have omega-3. So they control the cortisol levels. That means the cortisol level, your stress hormone. So there is fat storage chances are lesser. Vitamin C normalizes cortisol levels after a stressful situation.
Lime juice.
Yeah. Oranges, lime juice. Now this calcium pyruvate, now it gets into your fat cells and burns it off. Now what contains this calcium pyruvate? The natural sources are red apples, red grapes.
Red grapes.
And red apples. You get those red grapes. You don't get it here actually. No, the red one. You get the red ones. Yeah. You don't get it here. You only get the imported one. No, we're not talking about calcium. We're talking about calcium pyruvate. Now that's a chemical. It's a different chemical which burns your fat. Okay, so you have to eat red apples. Remember that. Tomatoes one. Another thing is.
You mean red grape?
Red grapes and red apples. Okay. Now another thing is quercetin, which fights belly fat. This again is there in apples. It's there in your onions, but the red colored onions, green tea, red grapes, tomatoes, broccoli, cherries, leafy greens. Now when you're talking about eating apple, you have to eat it with the skin. It's very close to the skin. This quercetin is said to be close to the skin. Even when you're peeling an onion, you have to peel it the least. I mean the dried leaf, of course, outer layer you have to take out. But there are some people who even take out that little dark one and they want that very clean. Yeah. So that is not right. Even when you're eating watermelon, you should eat it as close to that white thing as possible. Yeah. And pomegranates contains high level of antioxidants which increase fat burning and which also said to increase metabolism. So these are just natural ingredients. You can try them out. It's not going to harm. Okay, it's not going to harm you at all. In fact, they're very beneficial. Then we come to the exercise bit. Now power of exercise. Now visceral fat. Now we are talking about the visceral fat, which is the fat which is deep down. Okay, deep down, lower down in your belly, and which is causing metabolic problems.
Abdomen.
Yeah, abdomen. Now you have to, when we talk about exercise, like she was saying, you have to have intense. Like if you're walking, it has to be brisk walking. You cannot be walking at a leisurely pace. There are some people who exercise at a very leisurely pace. No change in their body. They feel good about it, fine. If that is their goal, it's fine. But if you're looking at fat loss, if you're looking at cutting your belly fat, then your exercise intensity has to be high. Okay? High intensity aerobic exercise. That means you could say you're brisk walking, or you could, lots of things are happening today. There is Zumba and
so insulin stored makes fat.
Yeah, insulin release makes fat. More insulin in your body, it is fat. Glucagon breaks down your fat. And anaerobic exercise. Now what is anaerobic exercise? Now anything like you do weight training, that is anaerobic, because at that point when you're doing your weights, there is no oxygen required. When you're lifting weights, oxygen is not used at that time. It is after that. Okay, so that is called as anaerobic exercise. Now this stimulates your body to release the human growth hormones. One I told you, during sleep. And also during sleep there is a time. It's said to be like say around 11 to 2 in the night. Yeah, that is when your human growth hormone is released. That is why they say you have to sleep early, you have to sleep by 10, so that this hormone is released and it works. That's at its peak at that time. Also when you're weight training, this hormone is released, so that helps to burn fat. And when you're having high levels of insulin, it kind of suppresses the human growth hormone. So it's trying to store fat. And of course, after all this, if you're doing your brisk walking and everything, then you also have to do your crunches, but not every day. Like I said, there are some people who come and do it every day. Yeah, it'll maybe once a week, but then you've got to watch your diet, your sleep, your stress levels, all that has to be controlled. Then your exercise, of course, and your ab muscles and your core muscles. You have to strengthen them, and that's how you'll end up with burning your belly fat. Yeah. Any questions?
This has to be